Hi, I am Madeline.
And I'm Rickard. We're from the band Elaine. You're watching CMS TV.
Do you like great heavy metal banter about the more modern bands of today? Then you need to be checking out Talk To Me. That's right, you need to be doing it. Featuring the one, the only, well, maybe not either of those two, but one of the bassists of Primer 55, Mr. Joshua Toomey, as well as yours truly. We dig deep into today's modern heavy metal world to bring you the best podcast in the goddamn game. So you should be watching. Get Talk To Me at youtube.com/notfest or wherever you get your favorite audio podcasts. New episodes come out every Thursday in audio form and on Fridays on YouTube over there at Notfest. Make sure you are tuned in. Talk To Me on notfest.com. Subscribe today. It is CHRIS Akin Presents, and I, of course, am Chris Akin. And today, joining me on the show, we are going to get some thrash, and I mean some old school style thrash, but from a newer band, a band you guys definitely want to discover called Rhythm of Fear. They have a brand new release called Fatal Horizons, and man, as I was telling our guest before we started, this thing just makes you want to punch somebody. This is aggressive as hell, and I couldn't love it anymore. So to talk all about it is the vocalist, Mr. Jay Santiago. Jay, how are you, man?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great, dude. Loving the record, as I told you before.
Thank you.
I'm a thrash head. You know, I'm fortunate enough to be old enough and to have actually lived in the Mecca at the time that it was happening with Death Angel and Exodus and Testament and all that stuff. So I'm a believer that this music has never died. It just keeps going. There's tons of great bands now. It's just that people aren't discovering it. Your band being one of them, man. So it's it's great to discover yet another killer band, man.
I'm glad to capture the listeners, man. You know, this has been a thing for a little while, and we've been pushing through, and we're excited to get this new record and in front of people and getting it in their ears and seeing what they think.
Right on, man. Well, dude, for people that don't know of Rhythm of Fear, why don't we start with maybe you give us a brief introduction of the band, how long you've been together, where they can see you, where they should look to see you, all that stuff.
Sure. Yeah. So Rhythm of Fear is a thrash band from Jacksonville, Florida. We've been a band since right around the later half of 2010. So we've been around a little while.
Sure.
And we're just trying to play music that's true to us as musicians, and again as people who listen to metal and music, period. And we like to make music that appeals to us.
Right on.
And with hopes that it appeals to everybody else too.
Sure. And the thing is you guys do very much the throwback style. There's bands, and I'm sure you see this too, man. There's bands that they call thrash that I don't consider to be thrash.
Right.
Like Lamb of God is just one example.
Right.
I don't really think of them as a thrash band. I think of them as like an extreme band.
Right. Though they have elements, influences, and and elements and things like that. But
you guys, you could throw your songs and an Exodus record all into a blender, and it would all sort of come out the right way in the wash. So talk a little bit about your influences that have led you into this style, man, because it is a throwback style. It's not the current flavor.
Where do we start?
All right.
So originally, most of the members in the band, aside from Cody, which is our lead guitarist, we all pretty much grew up within like the hardcore scene and things like that.
Sure.
I grew up more listening to like punk music and hip hop. But that led me into, you know, the faster, more aggressive music. And around the time that I joined the band was when I really started to dive into like, you know, the whole metal scene and thrash metal and things like that. So that being said, you know, we have a lot of influences from hardcore, punk, things like that. And of course, within thrash metal, you know, you have the big four. You can't go without the big four, obviously. Right. But we tend to kind of like dive into the more unknown. So we try to find bands that are lesser known bands, but still pretty much have the same, I guess, skill level as most of these other well-known bands. So with that, we made our own trinity, if you will. It's 3 bands that pretty much influenced us the most out of pretty much everything. And it's Slammer from the UK. Okay. Cyclone Temple from Chicago. Sure. And Forced Entry from Seattle. So yeah, so we love those bands, even though you might not be able to like hear all the influence from those bands. I like to think of our band as kind of like a melting pot of pretty much everything that we like, you know? Sure, definitely. So,
and you know, man, and I don't think enough people understand how strong this scene actually is. I mean, and again, I think a lot of it has to do with the big bands of the yesteryear. They're still making good records, right? I mean, definitely. You know, Overkill, Anthrax, Testament, Exodus, Heathen. You name it. They're all they're Heathen. They're all making great records, which in a way, I think has really hidden the fact that there is some killer thrash that's out there right now. You know, bands like CHRIS or Havoc, or you know, I mean, there's Warbringer. There's just there's a laundry list of great bands. Yeah, Evil, another one. Yeah. Why do you think it is that this wave, unlike other styles of music, it seems like this wave of newer bands just isn't getting the attention that other styles have had when their next wave has come? Right. So I don't know. I kind of feel like there's a little bit of oversaturation within you have to think, you know, back in the early 80s, no one was doing it. Right. You know, no one had the skill level to do it. Nowadays, everyone's in a band. Everybody can play guitar on an extreme level, you know? So I feel like that has a lot, obviously has a lot to do with it, in my opinion, you know? Sure. No, definitely. Yeah. Definitely does, man. Well, dude, let's dig into Fatal Horizons, man. New release. Sure. Comes out at a very tough time to put out a new release, just because literally every single band in the entire world had 2 years to write their record. Yes, they did. So talk a little bit about, you know, I mean, obviously you have to release music at some point. You can't just wait forever, but when were these songs written, and why now as far as releasing the music? So it's kind of hard to say when the songs were written. I think they were written over the course of the last, I don't know, the pandemic kind of erased blurs the line from my mind pretty much. Right. So I'd say maybe the past 4 years. We kind of constantly write as a band. So even before the last record came out, I feel like we were already in the process of writing these songs, and it was more of just fine tuning them. But yeah, definitely within the last 4 years, and we just decided, you know, we ended up getting on with Monarch Heavy, and we felt like the world needed to hear what we're writing now, and kind of like as we're writing music and as we're maturing as a band, we kind of find our sound a little bit better, and I feel like this has definitely done that. We've found our sound, and we're trying to just, you know, we just hope people like it, you know? Right. I feel like it still is a little bit different than a lot of, you know, quote unquote thrash metal, but I think it's definitely, it's Rhythm of Fear. It's what we have to offer to the world. So hopefully they like it. Well, the thing that I think that I do think separates it from most of the thrash that I hear anyway is it's not as, I don't want to say corny, because that's not the right word. And I love thrash, so I don't want to say any of it's corny, but right. It's very, very real, you know, and I think that might be, I mean, there's certainly songs, like you said, that you can listen to Insidious System as an example, and you can hear the hardcore reference pretty easily. Right. but I think lyrically is where you guys separate, because you really write about real world stuff, and not just hey, Donald Trump's a dick, you know. Not that kind of thing. I mean, it's very intuitive and it's very introspective, which is rare in thrash, man. I think that's one of the things, to me anyway, that really separates you guys from the rest of the pack.
Yeah, I think with this record, well, not only with this record, when we write a record, we choose to write about kind of like unorthodox things, as well as writing about things that are like completely real to us. So like we choose to write about a lot of like occult things, a lot of conspiracy theories, horror films, the list goes on. But then with that, you know, we try to write about things that affect us as people, you know, in this band. So a lot of it is depression and anxiety. On this record specifically, there's a song about myself that I suffer from chronic migraines. So that's one of the songs. It's called Self-Destructive Brain. That's pretty much about my migraines and how it affects me on a day-to-day basis. We have songs about dreams and, you know, different things like that. But so with the record, we tried to kind of group it into a theme of sci-fi horror. So even though not every song is sci-fi horror, we tried to kind of give it that edge to make it feel like it. So
right on.
I think, no, go ahead.
I was just going to ask, is it comfortable to do that, especially when you write about yourself? And I'll just tell you, I write books, and I've written real world books about divorces and, you know, industrial accident I was in, et cetera, et cetera. It's very real. And it's very weird to me,
right,
when people come up to me and are like, know more about me than I think they should know. You know?
I'll say it'll be a little strange, but I kind of feel like, in a way, that's what connects the band to the people. And, you know, we're no one special, obviously, you know, like we're people just like you guys are. And I'd like to personally connect with the people that listen to my music. You know, I love talking to people before and after our show. And I feel like that makes it a little bit easier to kind of connect with the fans of our music. So.
Right on, man. Well, dude, why don't we do this? You've got this video out for Tears of Ecstasy. Fun video, cool video. Tell me a little bit about the song and about the video itself.
So the song is, if you couldn't tell, it's directly, you know, inspired by Clive Barker and Hellraiser. So the lyrical content, everything is pretty much inspired by Hellraiser. And with the video, we kind of wanted to capture that. I think we did it.
Right.
You let me know what you think.
I'll tell you this, you did it better than these guys that did the new Hellraiser, that's for sure.
I haven't seen it yet. Don't ruin it.
Don't. They should call it woke Razor, because it's just the woke version of Hellraiser. It's awful, but
oh man.
I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll play a better video than that right now. We'll play Tears of Ecstasy. It is Rhythm of Fear from Fatal Horizons, and we will be back with more from Jay Santiago right here on CHRIS Akin Presents. Tears of Ecstasy from the band Rhythm of Fear. Fatal Horizons is the album, or the release. I don't know what we're supposed to call them these days, but I'll still say album. And I'll say album because it's something you should buy. And I'm going to stress that over and over to everybody. Don't just stream it. You can stream it, but also buy it. For God's sakes, buy one song. Buy one freaking song for $1.
We'll just take listening to it. If you listen to it, thank you so much.
Yeah, well, yes and no. Because obviously the goal at some level is for you guys to be able to afford to keep doing this. And
right.
and without people supporting, you know, by just listening to it, correct me if I'm wrong on this, if you see this way, because I see it this way and it drives me nuts. When you tell people, yeah, just go stream it. It's on Spotify, it's on YouTube, whatever. There's no connection. There's no value to it. Where if somebody even spends $1, just $1, downloads one song of yours for $1, now they're connected to it because they've
right.
invested in it. And
right.
it might give somebody just that much more incentive to listen to the whole thing and grow with it.
I agree. And there's nothing like holding the actual album in your hand and
right.
looking through the booklet and reading the lyrics and seeing all the imagery throughout the whole thing. I think that at least for me, there might be a nostalgic value to that, but I'd prefer, you know, actually holding the actual album.
Sure. No question. And I think with your material too, your lyrical content is so much deeper in a lot of ways that I don't think just blindly streaming it in a playlist is really going to do you guys a whole lot of justice. Is that fair?
Yeah, it definitely is, you know, and that actually came up in a lot of conversation with our videos and things like that. We're like, okay, you know, we know lyric videos are very, very popular,
mm-hmm.
but what song are we going to do a lyric video to? Because we feel like the lyrics to all the songs are equally as important, you know? So,
mm-hmm.
So that there's a little conflict there, but you know, like I said, ultimately, if you get the record in your hand, definitely please read all the lyrics and we hope to really connect with you guys as listeners and fans.
Sure. What's more important to you, that people enjoy the music or that they get the message?
Both. Okay,
but if you had to pick one,
I think I don't know. That's definitely a hard one. I want people to enjoy it, you know, and connect to it at the same time.
Right.
So, I don't know. I don't know if I can answer that.
Fair enough. It's like the hardest question because it's the whole, do you want to be a disposable band or not?
Right.
You know, it's like, yeah, you could technically go out there and become the next Hootie and the Blowfish, you know?
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of people that still 30 years later know a song or two from Hootie and the Blowfish,
oh, yeah.
But are they connected? Were they ever connected?
Right.
Versus you find a band that's your own, you never let it go, you know?
Right.
It's such a, I don't know, the business itself is so weird, but that's a whole nother show.
It is.
Nice. Well, dude, one of the songs that really jumped out at me as far as lyrical content and just the song itself, Simulated Times.
Okay.
Just that's maybe the deepest lyrical song you guys have, at least outsider looking in.
Right.
Tell me the story behind that one, and if you feel like it's the deepest for you guys.
Do I think it's the deepest? No, but I guess going back to us writing real things, the song was written about my dreams that I have. I tend to have like really realistic dreams.
Okay.
And this song in particular was about a dream I was having, that I was stuck in a simulation. You know, your basic simulation theory. I woke up in this place in a city, and it was my wife and I was with my niece, and we're walking into a business, and we noticed that there's this like big explosion happening on Earth, and there's a bunch of falling asteroids, you know.
Right.
And we go to run because that's our first instinct, and we kind of realize that there's no running. You know, like we couldn't run away from it. It was inevitable, you know.
Right.
So we kind of just sat there and held each other while the explosion took place and the world ended. And then everything turned black, and I woke up next to my wife in a testing facility, and there's a lot of like people there that were running tests on me and my wife, and pretty much trying to check our memory and things like that. And it was a simulation lab. And they had us walk through this gauntlet of things that would trigger certain memories of ours just to, see where we were at with our memory. And then, I hear other people in the background crying and screaming, not knowing what was going on. And then I black out again and wake up in another simulation. So that's pretty much what that song is about.
All right, Jay, I'm just going to ask you straight up. When is the book? Because for God's sakes, you have that gift that could write a book.
Well, it's initially my ideas, but the lyrics tend to be a mixture of pretty much, everyone's effort in the band, to write lyrics for these songs, So I have a lot of ideas, our drummer Logan's got a lot of ideas, and we try to kind of come together and write something that, that goes along with our experiences, I guess.
Right on, man. Well, dude, obviously this kind of band, the best way to experience it is to see it live. Obviously new record coming out. It seems like the pandemic is somewhat over, I guess, where you can actually get out there and
things
play
are
shows.
Becoming more normal now. So.
Yeah. So what does that mean for Rhythm of Fear? Are there plans or things in the works or trying to find tours or what?
Yes, we are hopefully getting back on the road here, and that begins with a tour with a band called I Am from Texas.
Okay.
And Body Box from Orlando, Florida. So that begins in November and pretty much goes through the majority of November. And then after that, we'll see,
Okay. Right on. Definitely. Now, dude, with that in mind, we mentioned earlier about how the great bands of the past still making great music. Me personally, I don't feel like they're doing their job of bringing the next wave up. I feel like when I was a kid, and I grew up in the 80s, I'm old, but when I grew up and I went and saw Metallica or Megadeth or whatever, there was 2 or 3 other bands that made sense that I didn't even know their names, but I went to the shows and I saw those bands and they became Heathen or Forbidden or, whoever it would be. I don't see any of those bands really doing that anymore. Do you think that could ever happen again, or do you think that it's even necessary now because there's so much distance between what it used to be and what it is now?
I kind of feel, I don't know. That's a good question. I feel like the era of arena bands is pretty much over at this point. Aside from, of course, your big 4.
Yeah.
But do I think it could ever get there? Yes. But I feel like we're a long ways away from that,
Right. Sure.
So,
yeah, you're definitely not saying that Rhythm of Fear wouldn't tour with Metallica if asked, right?
I would really hate to turn them down. So.
You wouldn't want to leave them hanging, right?
Right.
Nice. Well, dude, obviously, man, the band is Rhythm of Fear. The new album is Fatal Horizons. Where should we tell people to go to keep up with you guys and tour dates and buy merch and all that stuff?
Facebook would be a great place, at Rhythm of Fear. Instagram, of course, at Rhythm of Fear. And then head over to Monarch Heavy. That's where they have all the pre-orders for the record.
Okay.
Any exclusive merch there. Also, Masker merch also has a bunch of our merch too. Check them out. And that's pretty much it.
Very good, man. Well, dude, why don't we do this to close this one up? We'll play the video for Insidious System, which is about as real world as it gets, I think.
Right.
So tell us about this video to wrap this one up.
Yeah, so this one is it was definitely inspired around the time of the protests that were going on around the George Floyd incident. So, and that is obviously just the tip of the iceberg, but we felt very inspired at the time to write a song about police brutality and, the racial injustice in the United States, as well as pretty much everywhere else. But here, because we live here, So That's pretty much what this one was about, and there's definitely a bit of rage and anger in this one. So we kind of hoped you guys feel that too.
Well, let's test it out for ourselves. Let's check it out. It is Insidious System. It is the band Rhythm of Fear from the album Fatal Horizons. And Jay Santiago, thanks so much for joining me here on Chris Akin Presents.
Thank you.
Hey everybody, it's Chris Akin from all the shows, and wanted to share with you one of my other passions other than music. That, of course, being coffee. Anybody that's listened to me knows that I love coffee. And I have found another great brand, ladies and gentlemen, that you guys need to check out. Simply named, no gimmicks to it at all. It's just Coffee Brand Coffee. It's fantastic coffee, and I am not kidding you. They have everything that you would possibly want. Their coffee is excellent. I like the Roaster's Choice, but they have the pumpkin spice and all that other stuff, all the flavored stuff that you might like. They've got K-Cups for you. They've got cold brews. They offer tea. They've got cocoa. They literally have everything that you would want. So if you're looking for a great coffee, if you don't want to just settle for the crap that they sell you at the grocery store, this is another fine alternative. Coffee Brand Coffee. Just go to www.bit.ly/CMS Coffee. One more time, bit.ly/CMS Coffee, and use the coupon code CMSPN to save a little bit of money, and you can get some of the best coffee that is available today. So one more time, it is Coffee Brand Coffee. We love it here at the Classic Metal Show, and you will too. So get some today, folks. Coffee Brand Coffee.